day one of week two of Bahrain testing. George Russell had the fastest time by a thousandth of a second over Piastri, and Leclerc was not too far behind them. But that's not the biggest story. The biggest story is that when we look at the long runs that Russell did, and then the long run that Leclerc with Ferrari, we're looking at their times, which were faster than the long run that Verstappen did. But if you look at the numbers very carefully, you'll see that Verstappen is still the benchmark as far as I'm concerned, because he did a much longer run with 60 kilograms more of fuel than Russell did when you look at Russell's average during the long runs. And not only that, Verstappen was having a flat throttle into corner 12, and his car was accelerating all the way down the straights and hitting 344 kilometers. To show you how fast that is, even though Russell and Leclerc had faster times today, they're hitting 320 and they're beginning to decelerate, which is basically clicking at the end of the straights, which means that they're losing energy on the straights. And I don't think sandbagging is hiding that, because even if Mercedes uses a higher engine mode and they're hiding, I mean, they're using a lower engine mode now and they're hiding it, it still doesn't account for the fact that Verstappen's hitting a much higher top speed, isn't slowing down at the end, and is running with 60 kilograms of extra fuel. And even that 344 that he's running is within his limits, which means that he's running an extended long period. That day he did like 140 laps. So that 344, he kept on hitting those types of numbers within the range of 344, within the range of 330. And on lap 12, 260 kilometers into the corner on 12, where Russell is going 220 to 230. So he's hitting higher numbers than them, but he's doing it consistently over like 30, 40 laps. Whereas the numbers that we see with Russell, where he had his fastest time, was a glory run on very low fuel, only 10 kgs, compared to when Verstappen, who was 7 tenths of a second slower, was on 70 kgs. And even though Russell's average pace for a long run, which is like 7 to 12 laps, is a second faster than Verstappen's, Verstappen was pacing himself for almost 2 Grand Prix. So he was within himself. So it shows that Verstappen's window is much higher, which means he's a lot faster. Now the only question now is that is Mercedes um, sandbagging in the terms of, are they actually not putting in their most fuel efficiency? I don't think so. They may be sandbagging in which they don't put their whole power, but my argument is that they're still going to exhaust their power a lot sooner than Verstappen does, because it seems like the way Verstappen's car right now is the best for metronomic pace, for distributing the energy properly throughout the race. And also, he slows down less coming into the corners, especially into corner 12, in which he hit it at 260 kilometers per hour. Okay. So, what are your thoughts, Kunle? What do you think? Do you think that Mercedes is still hiding something? And even if they're hiding something, it could only be raw power. It couldn't be their ability to conserve energy over a lap. What do you think?
I think Mercedes haven't really done that badly today.
Yeah,
They've shown that they've got good speed, which is unusual for Mercedes to have, such fast lap times. I think Bahrain is a fast track, isn't it?
pretty fast. So, yeah, I mean, today they were. George Russell was slightly faster than Oscar Piastri on a glory run, but I don't think during this, it's too early now. These teams are not showing their full one lap pace. You see what I'm saying? They're not showing their
Yeah.
full one lap pace. So we can't take much from that. What we would rather look at is what their pace was during longer stints. And I think with George Russell and Ferrari, if you compare to Ferrari to Mercedes, so let's look at it. Okay, so Russell over a 9 lap period averaged 136.5 seconds per lap. Okay. Leclerc averaged 137.2. So that's 7 tenths of over a 12 lap stint. Okay. So what that's telling you is that um, over 9 laps, Russell was 7 tenths of a second faster than Leclerc. Okay. But here's the thing, Leclerc actually averaged his for 12 laps. Russell averaged his for 9. So that was a short burst. So the indication is that Ferrari is about even with Mercedes when it comes to a 10 lap stint. But over a 15 to 20 lap continuous flow, it wasn't fast. Verstappen was going 137.8. That's about a second slower than Russell over 9 laps. So Russell's pace over 9 laps is about a second and a half faster than Verstappen's. But the key is that Verstappen was basically coasting. Do you see what I'm saying? And he was doing it over
Yeah.
20 laps. So Verstappen was doing long race simulation. Russell was doing half of a stint. So the indication is that, and also Verstappen was using hard tires and 60 kgs more fuel than Russell. You see what I'm saying? So Russell's
Yeah, I
time,
mean that's like P14.
hmm?
Verstappen was P14, wasn't it?
Yeah. So no, 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 I'm talking about the long stint. So Verstappen's long stint was 137.8. That's an average over a lot of laps. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not talking about one lap pace. Russell's over 9 laps was 136.5. So that's about a second and a quarter. Approximately Russell is running faster over 9 laps on average by a second than Verstappen over 20 laps. But what I'm saying is that Russell was pushing it harder, and Verstappen was basically driving slow to see how he could have a whole race pace. So Verstappen did a simulation for a whole race. So his times, even though his time is a second per lap slower than Russell's, it's more fantastic because it's over race pace. It's just like if you run lap, let's say you run lap in 40 seconds, and I run 20 laps, but each lap is 41 seconds. My time is superior because I'm showing endurance. Russell is
Yeah.
showing pace. So it looks like Verstappen's extended race pace is faster than Russell's. And the reason I'll say that is number two, he did that last week when the track was in green, when the times weren't as fast. Russell did it today in warm weather. Uh, where the tracks have evolved, the cars have evolved. And Leclerc ran half a second slower than Russell earlier today at 137.2. I'm talking about for average. And Leclerc
Mm.
did it in the morning when the track was cold. So what I'm saying is that when you handicap for weight of the car, for how long the pace is and everything, it looks like Ferrari and Red Bull might have slightly better race pace than Russell's Mercedes. But the key question is Russell going to, is he using a lower engine mode? And my argument is that even if he's using a lower engine mode, increasing the engine mode will increase his one lap pace, but it's not necessarily going to increase his endurance because now endurance is a function of whether your car can harvest energy and everything, and whether the driver, like Verstappen knows how to drive and manipulate the forces of the car to burn fuel less. So I would argue that maybe Mercedes is the benchmark for one lap and Red Bull is the benchmark for an extended race pace because Verstappen is so good at tire preservation, preserving the fuel, and also his car has a lot more top speed, which shows that the engine isn't dying out on the straights. Mercedes and Ferrari are dying out the last 20 meters on the straight. Verstappen's car is still accelerating. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a trade off.
Yeah.
So clearly, Mercedes has more raw power and could probably do beat Verstappen for the first 6 or 7 laps. But it looks like Verstappen's car, because of the way he drives and because of the car and because the car is tailored towards him, is in it for the longer run. Over a 20 to 30 lap period, Verstappen will pass uh, Mercedes, unless, of course, George Russell is sandbagging. He's also on purposely clipping. He's on purposely making it look like his car is inefficient. What do you think?
Yeah, it's quite interesting what's going on with this with all this sandbagging that's going on right
Yeah.
now. People try to hide their potential abilities from each other at this stage. Um, George Russell is doing. He's trying to push the car. I think Mercedes are trying to say let's get as fast as possible, and then let's work on consistency. So if you're doing like a 133 as he's doing, he's not like, how could we try to get between 133 and 135 every lap consistently? That's what Mercedes will be looking at to improve upon the consistency of the performance over the race. I don't know whether it's driver error or whether it is actually the car's performance that is that might be the fault of it not being fast over so many laps as it was in
Yeah,
the fastest lap.
I'll
Um,
agree with you on that.
yeah.
So what this is going to say? So Russell's fastest time over one lap is 133.4. Now over
Yeah.
10 laps, he averages about 136. Okay. Now over
Mm.
20 laps, Verstappen was averaging 137. But it's clear that Verstappen was driving way within his limits. Russell was pushing it. But like you said, maybe later they'll get more consistency. That's a big maybe. We can only talk about what's demonstrated right now. And when Verstappen was hitting these 136 over 20 or 30 laps. He was hitting 344 kilometers on the straight consistently. That's 20 kilometers faster than Russell and them. And it's not because he has more power, it's because the car has more can extend its energy all the way down the straight. And here's what's scary. Verstappen was keeping his foot balanced on the throttle, so he was flat on the throttle and hitting high speed corners at 260 kilometers. Russell, even on his fastest lap, was hitting it at 220. And this goes to the theory that Verstappen can handle more. It's not just the car. He can handle more entry speed than any driver in F1. So we could even argue that maybe Verstappen is actually, when he's hitting that corner at 260 kilometers with a flat throttle, he could actually hit it at 280 if he wanted to over one when the race time comes and he has to show his real shit. You get my point? So my argument now is that it's just not clear that Mercedes has an advantage over everybody. At least now there's a big question, and right now it looks like Red Bull is a big threat. Some would even say that behind the wheel of Verstappen, Red Bull is absolutely dangerous and might be faster. So it's the other way around. Maybe Red Bull is the fastest, and now Mercedes has to prove it. Whereas a lot of people have been assuming Mercedes is the fastest. Now let's talk about what's his name, Haja. Today, Haja on a long stint was averaging 136.5. That's faster than what Verstappen averaged last week. So you know Verstappen is going to go faster. It shows you that Verstappen was even sandbagging last week. You get what I'm saying? Because Hadja is at 136 something. That means that Verstappen could have hit 135 or close to what Russell hit. Because I think Russell hit 136 point something, and Hadja was about 5/10 of a second behind him. So what it's showing you is that Verstappen last week, the incredible numbers he put were within himself. It's sort of like when Usain Bolt will jog 9.9 and everybody else is doing like this and they're running 10 seconds. Remember when Usain, you understand what I'm saying? Usain Bolt he'll break the world record jogging. So it looks like so even if Mercedes has a higher ceiling from sandbagging, it looks like Verstappen also has a higher ceiling. And what it looks like then now is that this is going to be a close championship between Mercedes, Red Bull, and I'm going to say Ferrari. I think McLaren is actually slower than them. McLaren is never known as a speed demon. It has stability, and I think later on in the year when they start to get upgrades, they'll catch up with the other three. But this is going to be a speed demon race. But the advantage that Red Bull has is that Max will not have his teammates stealing points from him. Hadjar won't be stealing points from him. Uh, Antonelli and Russell will be stealing points from each other. Hamilton and Leclerc will be stealing points for each other. And this is going to play to the advantage of Verstappen, whose car is just as fast as them, but he doesn't have people competing against him. And also, if the cars are about equal pace, Verstappen is the difference. So right now, I'm going to go on paper as saying that Verstappen is equally favored to win the championship as Russell, but we just have to wait and see. And we have to wait and see what Verstappen does tomorrow when he does his glory run on low fuel. Because we have to remember all of these times he's been doing have been on 60 kgs more fuel than Russell and Co. And 60 kgs is a lot of time. You're 60 kgs heavier. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
in other words, people should beware of Verstappen, and and not just see the championship to Russell yet. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. When I looked at performances, traditionally the Red Bulls and the Ferraris are the fastest cars in the straight line.
Yeah.
And it's sort of showing. And what surprised me and interested me is that on a fast track, Mercedes are doing quite well, which means that if they're able to do this well on a fast track, they should be even more competitive when they get to the slower tracks, which makes Mercedes overall significantly more competitive. As for McLaren, okay, there's a drop off, but I don't think the drop off will be to the extent that they'll fall behind Ferrari. I think
No,
that
but
they're still going to be,
here's my argument.
yeah,
McLaren is known for good tire drag, and known for balance, and known for race pace. But right now, they're not focusing on the speed. They're focusing on very long endurance races. But it looks like Leclerc has been consistently in the top two every day for times. You see what I'm saying? So it looks like Leclerc right now, Ferrari has improved enough so that Leclerc is such a better driver than Norris and Piastri that he could beat them in their car, even if their car is marginally faster than his. But what I'm saying is that Ferrari has made great improvements because it actually has the best race pace right now. What I mean by race pace is that if you calculate for 50 laps, Ferrari is on point. If you calculate for like 10 to 20 laps, it's Mercedes. We don't know what Verstappen's going to do, but Verstappen did an extended run last week in which he was maintaining 260 kilometers into corner 12 and 344 in the straight. So it looks like Verstappen might have, he hasn't proven it yet, but his car might actually have the best race pace. Now, the question is that once the season starts and we start going all out, McLaren may handle it. And this is a fast track. Like you said, once we get to the slower tracks or the tracks with tight chicanes and bumps and stuff, then you'll start to see McLaren fast because we know that on fast tracks, McLaren is slow. and on slow tracks they're fast. You see what I'm saying? Or not on slow tracks, but on tracks with a lot of purposing and bumps. So this might be a relatively flat track. So the performance of the other teams is better than McLaren, but we know that McLaren is the most balanced car, that it does well on any type of track. So the question is, how will Red Bull and Mercedes and them do on tracks that are very unstable with bumps and everything, which is what McLaren is known for. McLaren isn't known for pace, for raw speed. They're known for stability. But maybe they don't look as fast now because on these tracks in which you don't need to be very stable, these speed demons like Red Bull and Ferrari and them. But I think Ferrari's made a jump. Ferrari's not going to be a disaster like they were last year. What are your last thoughts?
Yeah, Ferrari are looking a bit better organized. They've not messed up. Let's hope that they go and start trying to do experiments with the car again. They've got a good engine running, and they seem to have put in a lot of laps. So they are on the up. I'm still
They put them
disappointed.
like they've had
Yeah,
the most quality laps. So in other words, Ferrari has passed the consistency test. Yeah.
yeah. I'm still disappointed at Lewis Hamilton. He's so far behind Leclerc. I think Leclerc is now confidently and undisputedly driver one for Ferrari.
Yeah,
Hamilton has just been second far too often.
look,
Um,
Hamilton, man, look, he's dating Kim Kardashian just now. He just started dating her. You don't need that drama when you're already struggling and you're trying to win a championship. You know he's dating Kim
oh dear.
Kardashian. He was seen with her 2 weeks ago. That
That
guy's
yeah,
mind,
Hayan
he's not
should be
serious.
smelling. Someone said Hayan smells because of
Oh yeah,
the
because he has BBLs and all that crap.
oh
What's
dear.
wrong with Lewis
We've
Hamilton,
got everything on this show, haven't we?
man? Look, we do high technical stuff, then gossip. High technical stuff, then gossip.
Yes, they said that the fat spoils and smells. That all these women with BBLs, they have
Yeah.
smelly coochies,
Uh,
and ain't nothing worse than a smelly coochie, man.
and also the BBL looks stupid. It looks like Humpty Dumpty's stomach is in their butt.
Yes, it looks quite silly. It's not sexy too.
All right, so let's get
Um,
out. This was a good show. Yeah, but any
yeah,
last thoughts? What are your last thoughts on the testing and everything? Yeah.
yeah. So my last thoughts. Well done, Mercedes. They're trying to mix it up. I do feel that the Red Bulls are just they're just keeping the cards close to their chest. Ferrari are doing quite well, um, and whew, well, I mean the other cars like the Williamses and the
How about that?
Alpines and the Audis are really quite far behind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite disappointed at Ollie Behrman. I understand that Sonoda had some reliability issues with his car, um, and and the Alpines are doing exactly what I thought they would do. They're bringing up the rear.
Mm-hmm.
But I am quite disappointed with Beerman after so much promise from the Haas. I thought that they were going to
No, no,
go
let me
from
let me tell you what
strength.
happened. Cool, let me tell you what happened. Today Haas said that they were not running for speed. They're going to do that tomorrow. They were doing long fuel runs. So don't sleep on that Haas yesterday. I heard it today. Haas said that today they were just doing long. They were just doing long runs. Tomorrow is the
Yeah,
day they're going to.
but the car had reliability problems today. Part of I
Oh yeah,
think they had problems with the car's hydraulic. They had a hydraulic
yeah.
leak. Let's
That's a
just
small
hope that
problem.
that's not serious. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's not hope that that's not a major issue that's going to come and bite them in the ass when the fighting gets rough.
No, no, no. They'll be
Um,
fine.
yeah,
They'll be fine.
yeah.
Yeah. They'll be
So
fine. And they still got 100 and something laps done today. Also, Hadja didn't get a lot. He had a hydraulic problem too. And I think that might be the problem with the Red Bull car. They're having some water issues, which might be overheating. But we'll see what happens. I think those things can be fixed. But anyway, take us out. Man, we don't try to do
so it's been
we
an
bullied.
exciting look at what's going on in Bahrain with the testing ramping up, with many laps of practices as some cars expose themselves and some hide their full potentials. And as we look on to more racing practice tomorrow and there on in, from myself and Mustapha, we bid you goodbye, farewell, adieu. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Next one. When Lewis Hamilton got back from